Everyone got quiet just in time. I'd like to welcome everyone to the June 4th meeting of the Davie County School Board. We always love a big crowd, a lot to celebrate and recognize today, so welcome. First item on the agenda is our invocation. Loving and gracious God, we thank you today for all your blessings, for the successful outcomes of our school events, and for all of our staff members. We ask that you bless them abundantly, and as we continue to seek your wisdom, guidance, courage, and strength. Be with us in our deliberations, and help us to be wise in the decisions we make for the good of all of those who have placed their trust and confidence in us. Give us insight to lead with integrity, that our decisions may reflect what is good and right. Keep us from short-sightedness and pettiness. Help us to make decisions that are for the good of all, and guard us from blind self-interest. Grant us the humility to always seek your will in all that we do and say. Amen. Now, next item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, and will be led by Cadet Troop 2147.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, we have to adopt the agenda, and if you will, before I give a motion, we'll notice we shuffled around recognitions to try to help. I think the baseball team's got a bus to catch here in a little bit, so I appreciate you guys allowing us to shuffle that around a little bit to accommodate them, but I will ask for a motion to adopt the agenda. I have a motion by Ms. Smith. I have a second by Mr. Drexler. All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Next, we have important dates, and we have a couple of big ones. Friday, something about the last day of school. It's hard to imagine, hard to believe. And hopefully, don't check the weather, but on Saturday we have a high school graduation at 8:30. We are hopeful. Right, Mr. Wallace? And next we have July 8th on Monday at 6 p.m. We have a Board of Commissioners meeting, and then we're back in here at 4 o'clock on July 9th. With that, I will turn it over to Mr. Wallace for our Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Board and guests, parents, and students. We'll start out with, I like the bow ties. Gentlemen, you're off to a good start. And those of you that aren't, you still look very nice as well. All of you do. But I will tell you, that's a good start. I want to thank you to everyone to being here tonight. And we obviously have a large group. And what the purpose of this large group tonight is a true reflection of what we do in Davie County. And you're going to hear in just a few moments about our celebration a celebration for our students, that's from the playing fields to FFA creed speaking to hort to dairy judging. My point is, in Davie County, we try to take care of the whole child, a holistic approach. And that's, again, part of what you see here. So I want to say congratulations to each of you as individuals, as a team, and parents. We have no doubt that couldn't have done it without you, and thank you very much for what you're doing here. I want to say congratulations to the early college, high school students who are probably not thinking one thing about us right now at all, the class of 2019 that graduated on Saturday, May the 18th. But it was a wonderful ceremony, and always good to get together to celebrate that and a ceremony like that. As Chairman Junker mentioned, this Saturday, and Mr. Nicholson and I have been communicating, and we will make it through, I promise you. And he will have a good plan for us. Also like to say a congratulations and a welcome to a different seat tonight for Miss Jenda Haynes. Miss Jenda Haynes, and since I've been selected as superintendent, Jenda Haynes is now the continues assistant superintendent, but she will be in HR and leadership development. So I want to say Ms. Haynes brings plenty of experience from all levels. She taught in the high school for 6 or 7 years, and then she has served as administrator in elementary, middle, and high school, principal at the early college, and principal at Davie County High School. And Jenda brings an outstanding wealth of information to our team. Jen Line, which is our new Chief Academic Officer. There will be additional information shared about Ms. Line in a few moments, but Ms. Line, congratulations to you as well. And I want to, another congratulations. Butch, Mr. Rooney, could you bring up a few pictures for me on, we've got a wonderful fill-in right here with Miss Bricky, but I want you to see why Miss L. King is absent for a little while. And needless to say that he is in the 99th percentile in almost every category. So, Dad, I know how you feel, and a lot of dads in this audience probably know how he feels. Mr. King asked, obviously, Elle's husband, Earl, who is a teacher for us at North Davie Middle School. But we do expect Ms. King to return on July the 1st, but I wanted you to, Gene's over here amening me about him, Elle returning. But I wanted to share a couple pictures with you, and she said to say just to say hello and that the family's doing very well. So that's Graham. I want to make sure I get it right. That's Graham King. So she said Huck, their other child, he's still not quite sure how to take a new one in the house. So, all right. But again, Elle's doing just fine. I also want to give you an update since our last meeting with Todd Naylor as Tammy's husband. Todd was worked for Davie County Schools for 30-some years, and Todd had a health concern, a health issue, and ended up having open heart surgery. Todd is at home, but as many of you can imagine, a surgery that serious takes a long time. So, but we want to continue to pray for Todd and think about him and Tammy, and we really appreciate your family and just let you know that we're thinking about that. Also let you know that each of our schools was recently visited by a group called Emerald Education. And Emerald Education was put together by our former state superintendent, Dr. June Atkinson, and the DPI section chief, Dr. Jen Curtis, math section chief from DPI. They have a team of people that will come and visit your schools and look at your comprehensive needs assessment, take a look particularly at culture and your academic processes and the things that's taking place. They will provide us with a report. We will, a part of this comes from a new process to put together a school improvement team or school improvement plan, but it can take on a much broader scope than just that, which we are using this group for. Dr. Curtis is scheduled to be back with us for 3 days in the next week, as a matter of fact. She spends individual time with our principals as some just as groups of elementary, and some as middle and high. But I had a chance to share with them and spend probably 2 or 3 hours with them, and they provide wonderful information. But from that, we'll get a report that will help us, again, move toward a new school improvement plan from NC STAR. It's a new process. But again, the broader scope of that is to take a hard look at what we're doing academically and how we can refocus and make sure we're fine-tuning some areas is what we'll get from that. And I was extremely impressed with the things that they shared with us. Changing gears slightly, the Senate and House have completed their budgets, and if you've read those, they are quite different. So which is not a real surprise, but not sure where we'll land. But I can tell you that I communicate frequently with the Superintendents Association and School Administrators Association to keep updates and to try to provide information or our input in trying to influence or some of those committees or just share some information, the practical information from the school systems. Yes, we are ending up soon, but I want you to know that there's a lot of summer fun that happens, of course, we have kinder camps at all of our schools. Read to Achieve camp will crank up. We have STEM pipeline that will start up in our middle schools. So it's busy. You know, some of you, especially educators, can still relate. I still get the question, do you work in the summer? Absolutely, we work in the summer. And
It's
finally,
amazing, if I can.
Yes, sir.
It's amazing you mentioned that, because yesterday I was talking to my wife about teachers and teaching, and I said, you know what, it wouldn't really surprise me, not very far from now, if we don't go to a 12-year contract instead of a 10.
Well,
Because our summers, just like you
Right.
just said, are packed.
Right.
And that's a good thing, because
Right.
it's all in the best interest of children.
sure it is. You're right.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir, Mr. Hales. And in that same line, there's still questions about a calendar and calendar flexibility. And the House provided a lot of hope from us. Our Representative Julia Howard, we're very thankful for what she did in proposing the bill. Unfortunately, again, when I hear from some folks, they say that the Senate, it won't move with the Senate. They don't want to, they don't, I don't know, care. I'm not going to say they don't care. It sure, their actions indicate that. But we've not had any updates with the school calendar at all whatsoever. And my final point I'd like to make is I want you to know, Board, that I am extremely honored. I'm extremely humbled. Parents in this community, staff that are here to be sitting in this seat. I've had many folks reach out to me and say thank you, and I'm extremely appreciative of that. I always like to, in interviews, ask people what's the first 2 or 3 things they would do if they were to get the job. And so I've had a lot of information there, but I want you to know that I have almost met with every principal individually. I have met with county leaders. I have met with most of you now to talk. And so I guess that's called my listening tour. And I'm hearing a lot of good things, but I want you to know that I really appreciate getting different perspectives from our county leaders and different folks to what makes us better, what we can do. And we're going to keep doing that. So I want to say thank you and the community to you. And thank you so much for the time. I know you poured a ton of time into this selection process, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate that I was the one that was chosen, but the fact that you did, whoever was chosen, I trust your judgment, and I really do want to say thank you for that. And Mr. Chairman, that's all for me.
Thank you. And congratulations to Ms. Haynes, and congratulations to Ms. Line. It's great that we have people step right in and take over with that. And thank you to Ms. Bricky again for stepping in. We've been blessed with Ms. Naylor and Dr. Steves, for his people in this community that are stepping up and filling those positions. So thank you for that. I even work out for you. And I want to say, too, that we have another board member, David Carroll, who had a medical procedure this week and was unable to join us as well. So we usually have 7 of us, but so keep him in your thoughts and prayers as well. So moving on to recognitions, and I will call on Coach Absher here for the baseball team.
Before I turn it over to Coach Absher, Mr. Junker, I just want to say that we're very, very excited to be able to recognize all of these athletes that are here, the athletes from the high school in baseball, the athletes that are here from sand volleyball, the athletes we have from Ellis. We're just very, very excited about that because, again, just like Mr. Wallace had said, being in other districts, this is not typical. I think it's a great thing to say that the board recognizes the importance of students and student athletes and recognizing the great things that they do. So just want to just say that real quick and then turn it over to Coach Absher to be able to recognize those student athletes and coaches.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mr. Wallace, school board, it's truly an honor to be here again. I feel like a regular part of this. It's been a great year for Davie athletics, but I'm not going to speak a ton about our baseball team. I'm going to have some brief comments, and I'll call up Coach Rudisell and let him speak a little bit more directly. But what a good group of young men. Not only were they champions on the field, but they were champions off the field as well. They dealt with a lot of adversity, a lot of different things that came their way, again, on the field and off the field. And what I will say is they handled those situations with class and determination. And I think they learned a lot of things that will make them very successful when they move on in life. Very fortunate to have Coach Rudersell come in and coach these guys this year. And at this time, I would like for Coach Rudersell to come on up. And before I turn it over to him, it is an honor to congratulate him on being selected as the CPC Baseball Coach of the Year. So let's give him a nice round of applause. Mr. Nicholson and myself, we were fortunate to hire Coach Rudersell in October. He hit the ground running, and not only did he bring us a championship in his first year, but he is truly a team player. He's very bought into Davie County, our school system, and our athletic program, and I'm very, very thankful for that. So, again, Coach, congratulations, and I'll turn it over to him at this time.
First off, I want to say thank you for having us. It is a true honor to be able to come in front of you guys and, you know, all the other community members that have been there to support us, you know, through this run that we've had. You know, I want to say thank you to Coach Absher, Mr. Nicholson for, you know, giving me the opportunity, Mr. Wallace, you know, fighting to get me in when I did, because if not, I might still be in South Carolina. So thank you. This team, you know, from day one, October 16th, they bought into everything that, you know, I had envisioned for this program. And like Coach said, they were class on and off the field. They represented Davie County, you know, in a way that, you know, any team that I coach, I would want to represent us. You know, we were able to win the CPC championship over, you know, really, really strong competition, and just the brotherhood that they were able to have throughout the season. That was, you know, the biggest thing that I loved about this group. They were a family from day one. You know, I've got 9 of them that on Saturday will be graduating from Davie County High School, and at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Seeing these guys go on and, you know, pursue their academic and athletic careers. So, you know, first thing, you know, CPC champions. We also had individual awards through our team. The CPC Pitcher of the Year, Carson Whisenhunt. Carson had a 8-0 record on the year, 98 strikeouts, pretty much a dominant force on the mound. He was a nominee for the North Carolina Gatorade Player of the Year, and, you know, just to be nominated for that is a huge deal. So congratulations to Carson. He'll be headed off to East Carolina University to play baseball. Also, maybe getting a phone call in the next day or two for the from the Major League Draft. So, you gotta stand up. There you go. All right, and also the CBC Player of the Year, Mr. Aaron Williams. Aaron came in, he was our catcher, hit about 480 on the year. There wasn't a pitcher in our conference that could get him out consistently, and when they made the votes in that room over at Reagan, it was a landslide, you know, Player of the Year for him. But the biggest thing about Aaron is, you know, what he does off the field. You know, great student off the field, and helps out the program in tremendous ways off the field. If any of you came to our games and saw the big DC logo right behind home plate, that was, you know, Hunter Bowles, Aaron Williams, some of those guys that, you know, had our third period class there, and, you know, they helped get the field prepared, and, you know, Aaron was part of that. Aaron was also selected as the American History Award winner. I'm very excited for these guys, what they did individually, but what they helped the team do as a whole. So thank you again. Hopefully I'll see you back next year. If not, we'll work to get here. So thank you.
Coach, if you could, just let's have all your team to come up front here so we can get a good look at them and yeah, let's extend this look for a while. You may have the best looking team in the CPC too. Parents, if you want to take a moment there and grab some pictures, that would be great. Coach Rudisell, if you'll just, as you call their name, they can walk out and be seated. We'll figure all this out. If you just introduce them by their name, please.
We got junior John Davenport, senior Will Sherrill. We got junior Bailey McKnight, junior Shane O'Brien, junior Aaron Williams, junior Troy Clary, senior Carson Whisenhunt, junior Garrett Chandler, senior Will Cheek, senior Michael Shelton, senior Hunter Bowles, and senior Justin Chapin. Thank you.
And if you guys need to go ahead. We'll wait. I think you need to leave, some of you need to leave to head out. Thank you very much for being here.
Congratulations again. Next, I will call on Doyle Nicholson for the sand volleyball.
At this time, I'd like for Coach Brandon, Coach Justice, Nick Azar, and Andrew Hilton to come forward. Apparently have to be tall to play sand volleyball. This is our first year of having a sand volleyball team. It is a club team. It is not a state-sanctioned sport yet, but we are working on getting that changed. But I would like to first of all thank Coach Brandon and Coach Justice for all their help. Coach Brandon has definitely built a successful indoor team with us over the past few years, and she has taken that same talent and given us a great outdoor team as well. Alex apparently is a fundraising guru. We did not realize that until he decided he wanted a sand volleyball team on our campus. So he has done a great job of getting the funds we need to have a great facility, and he has done a great job helping coach as well this year as well. So it is my honor to present Nick Azar and Andrew Hilton as the first ever Davie High Club Volleyball champions for the state. They competed in the North Carolina High School Sand Volleyball Association tournament. And there are approximately 68 sand volleyball teams in the state, and their first attempt of playing together ended up in a state championship. So I want to congratulate both Nick and Andrew for their accomplishments.
Coach Brandon, would you be able to just talk about numbers? I know there's just two up here, but just sort of the year and the numbers.
Okay, sorry, not prepared for this. So we started sand this spring. I kind of joke with him about they set the bar a little high for the kids to come. But we actually started in the grass on the football field, and Alex came out and said, let's just see if we can teach some boys how to play sand volleyball. I coached Andrew's older sister, Hadley, 4 years ago, so I knew that he had been a little bit experienced to the game. Some of my girls was like, there's this boy, Nick Azar, he's a sophomore, and he knows how to play volleyball. You need to go hunt him out. So they came together. They worked so hard together. They lost one set in the conference. So in sand volleyball, we play 2 out of 3 sets for matches. They lost one set in the conference. So they went undefeated in match, and they lost one set in the state tournament, and finished with lots of cramps late night in the sand, but pulled it out to win the state championship. So 10 teams qualified for the state tournament. We actually sent 2 teams for boys, 2 teams for girls, and they went undefeated in that tournament to win the championship.
How many kids on the team?
39. 39 girls and boys total. So, large team.
Don't bring up the courts.
Yeah, it's a real touchy subject in my life.
Unfortunately, it's already been said, but without Alex Justice getting this thing started, we would not even be here today talking about it. And unfortunately, because of weather and people donating their time and weather, first sand is going in today, actually, for the first court. So unfortunately, but it's still a
I will
victory.
say, just kind of speaking to all the kids, we didn't have really a designated place to practice. And, you know, our kid, it's just a club sport. That's kind of what I would try to drill to my indoor kids, because we weren't supposed to be practicing 5 days a week, nonstop. But for me, and, you know, I kind of laughed about this, it's such a fun sport. The kids loved it. They would be begging to go practice. And so they worked really hard, and obviously we had great results. So Andrew is a senior. He'll graduate on Saturday. Nick's a sophomore, so we got to find him a new partner. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Congratulations, guys. Next, I'll call on Coach Reynolds for the Ellis girls soccer team.
Good afternoon. I'm going to start with calling the girls up because they really don't want me to. So we have 8th grader Rebecca Devericks, 8th grader Bree Hart, 8th grader Lexi Coolis, 7th grader Taylor Smith, 7th grader Ashley Newsom, and 6th grader Taylor Marco. So this is obviously not our entire team. Everybody couldn't be here today. We're missing quite a few. We had a great undefeated season. They went unscored on and undefeated. And I'm a little sad because next year I'm losing 10 of them, which means good things for the high school. Well, it'll still be good at Ellis, but we won't be we'll see how it goes. They had a good time this year. I think they had fun at practices and at games. We played hide and seek sometimes because hide and seek and soccer go hand in hand. Running is running. Okay, they told me to keep it short. Is that good? Lovely. Y'all want
That's
your picture
perfect.
taken?
Congratulations. Thank you. Next, I'll call on Anthony Davis for Future Farmers of America.
Mr. Chairman, Board, Mr. Wallace, guests, first of all, again, just so excited to be able to continue to recognize our young folks. I want to get my FFA members that are here to come on up, if you would, please. We've had a few of them that were able to be here tonight. I will have to say, I really wasn't completely prepared to be doing this because Mr. Ledbetter was supposed to be here doing this, but he and his wife are actually getting ready to have a baby. So prayers to them, and hopefully everything is going well with them, and hopefully we'll have a baby here with us soon. These guys, first of all, I was able to go to their FFA banquet, and it was phenomenal. They do a great job. This is my second year being able to go to the banquet. They put it on. They do everything. They conduct the banquet. They give all the awards out. They talk. They are able to do a lot of things that I don't know that I was able to do when I was their age, speaking in front of a group of people like that. But they do a great job, excuse me, a great job of it. And, of course, you can also see through the awards that we're going to give them tonight that they also excel as a group when they go to state and regional competitions. The first thing we're going to recognize is going to be, and I'm not sure if any of these are here, we've got 3 that were recognized that finished first place in the lamb showing at the Dixie Classic Fair, which I was also able to see that in the fall, and that was phenomenal. That was just great to watch them and being out there with, there are adults out there, there's other young people out there, and a lot of lambs being shown, and they were able to do that. But we have Nora Ryan, Peyton Smith, and Grace Massencup that were able to do that. So congratulations to them. Next, we have third place in the region in dairy judging, and we have Naomi Hillard, Riley Krotz, Bailey Dyson, and Carson Whitaker that finished third place in regional dairy judging. So congratulations there. All right, we also had, and I'm going to tell you guys, this one, I was able to actually see her do this at the banquet, and if we had time, I'd have her do it tonight, but I don't know if we have time to do this. But Bailey Dyson, she actually finished second in the region in the FFA Creed speaking, and if you've ever heard the FFA Creed, it's very, very long, but not only does she do a great job and have it memorized, but the way she does it with passion and enthusiasm, and does a really, really good job with it, and it's, like I said, it's very, very long. It's a lot to memorize, so Bailey did a great job with that, but she finished second in the region and will actually participate this summer in the state competition. So congratulations, Bailey. And the next one we'll recognize is Horticulture 1, placed third in the region. Here we have Aubrey Myers, Riley Krotz, Nathan Haskin, Kaylee Williford, and again, they will also participate in the state convention this summer. So congratulations. Thank you, Ms. Lyon. And one other recognition for them, our chapter, our FFA chapter here at Davie High actually ended up getting a gold award, and that means they're in the top 30 in the state. So they deserve all the way around a great job on that as well. Thank you.
Congratulations. All right, next item on our agenda is a consent agenda. There's quite a few things on there, so I will open up for questions and then entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, it's not a, pardon me, not a question, but a comment. Part of what we're going to vote on is called the, oh gosh, it's the CTE thing. What am I looking for, Mr. Davis? What's it called? What? The local application. Oh. I was looking on the wrong page. Thank you. Career and Technical Education Local Plan. I don't know about the rest of you. I know all of you read that, but to be in a consent agenda, and we're approving that, I'm sure, but I just want him to know and his staff to know that when we see stuff like this, it's a 4-year plan, it's a big to-do, and we're just not taking it lightly just because it's in a consent agenda. We have read that and looked at it and understand the importance of it.
Thank you for that.
You know, I did read that plan. In fact, not only did I read it once, but I read it twice. I'm kind of hard. But anyway, the conclusion I came with and what my thought process was when I finished that second read, wouldn't it be a great thing for every senior to graduate that is not going off to college but have a job on Monday that we graduate on Saturday. And that's the direction that we're actually heading in. So I think that is just absolutely wonderful. You did a great job. That's all I got to say.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion. Have a motion by Colonel Hills, have a second by Mr. Drexler. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you.
Chairman Junker, board members, if I may interrupt. Sorry. In your personnel recommendations that you just approved, I wanted to point out a couple of items. Mr. Wallace has already referenced Jennifer Lind across the table there, but I want to give you a little bit of background on Jennifer. She has been in the role of Director of Curriculum and Instruction in our Curriculum and Instruction Department and is moving to Chief Academic Officer. Jen is a product of Davie County. She graduated from Davie High School. I was almost old enough to teach her. She likes to remind me of that. She earned her undergraduate from Appalachian State University in elementary education and a master's degree in school administration from NC-A&T. She worked in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County for several years as a teacher, instructional coach, magnet school coordinator, curriculum coordinator, and assistant principal. From there, she moved to UNCG and worked for the School of Education, where she was a lead coach for the North Carolina New Teacher Support Program. And after that, we were able to steal her back to Davie County, and we're blessed for that. She returned to Davie County at Pine Brook Elementary as assistant principal, so we'll thank Ms. Pressler for hiring her back. And she's been a tremendous asset in our curriculum and instruction team and to principals and teachers across our district, so we look forward to her continued leadership. We also have someone in the office, or in the audience, rather, who was approved tonight, Ms. Sherry White. Sherry was approved as our curriculum specialist. She comes to us most recently from Winston-Salem, Forsyth County, where she was a PLT, a professional learning team coach in their instructional services department. She's been leading professional development, coaching teachers, and helping facilitate PLTs. But she also is no stranger to Davie County schools. She graduated from Davie High. She taught 10 years at Davie High School in the science department, biology, chemistry, and earth and environmental science. I hope I didn't leave anything out there. Sherry was one of the original lead teachers in the STEM Center, and in that role, she was instrumental in that accreditation process for Davie County High School STEM Center, so brings a wealth of experience there. She earned her bachelor's in chemistry from Catawba and then added her teaching certification through Salem College, and then most recently in 2017, she earned her master's in curriculum and instruction from Gardner-Webb. So we want to welcome her back to Davie County and look forward to her leadership.
Thank you. Thank you and welcome. Next, we have a public address to the board. This should be good.
That our baseball friends aren't here so I could do some wonderful baseball or soccer thing. I've spent most of my formative years on one of those fields. But nonetheless, we have no one here to speak to you today, so you'll just have to wait until next month.
Thank you for that. Next, I'll turn it over to Mr. Wallace for the policy updates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Board, as we typically do in this time of the year and kind of throughout the year, is update policies. There's an attachment there in your board docs. And one thing I do want to bring to your attention there, where in the first paragraph, it talks about one updated and it has an impending critical deadline. Well, what that's referring to is the background checks for our criminal background checks for pre-K facilities, and we are well on our way to following or meeting that policy. With our staff have to be fingerprinted and then fill out an application process for background approval on top of what we already do for all of our employees, which quite frankly we're not real happy about. But at the same time, we have to follow policy. But I want you to know that Peggy Knuckles, Peggy's here somewhere, there she is, has done a really good job, again, working with our sheriff's department, and we've had her staff over, and Peggy and I talked about making sure we got in front of this, so we didn't bottleneck because it's due in October. But we are well on our way to meeting the policy that talks about with the urgent deadline there. And we, again, this information will be presented to you, and then we'll ask you to vote for those, vote on those in the July meeting.
Let me ask you a question with regard to that. I don't recall in my 2.5 years on the board having one of these before. And it kind of startled me because I didn't realize that they put this document out. So apparently for the last 2 years, they haven't put anything out of any significance. And then the second part, I don't mean that in a derogatory way.
You want
I
me to
really don't.
respond to that, sir?
My heart's in the right place. But I hope it is anyway. But the associated cost with that, I was reading, and maybe you need to enlighten me. At one place I read that it could be considered under this, and it led me to believe there might be money for that. But in another place, it did not. So do we pay for it out of our state or county funds?
Yes, sir, Mr. Hales, and we pay for, this is a membership to the School Board Association. And Jill, do you want to speak to why, or your encouragement of why we should use them as to review our policies and different things? And there have been some, Mr. Hales, this is, frankly, this is a different format than I'm familiar with seeing. Typically, it's just page after page after attachment of a lot of information. Now, not all of it is new, and typically they do outline what's new in red, and then you get a summary. But I do think it is smart for us to continue to have these things, and Jill can speak more clearly to that.
Yeah, I would just like to add, absolutely so, because I've known since I've been on the board that we normally listen to the state board when they come out with recommendations for policy changes, and which is a smart thing, because that's where all the attorneys are and the knowledge, supposedly. So we pick up on that. So that, I'm not talking about them in a negative way either, but I just wanted to ask a couple questions about that.
Sure, so this is actually the School Board Association. Now, the State Board has their own policies, and then the School Board Association maintains a policy service that we subscribe to. A majority, not just a majority, almost every board in the state at this point now subscribes to that group. Because periodically there will be changes in minutia in those policies, and you could not afford to have somebody on staff to spend all their time keeping up with it. So the way that it works for the School Board Association is because almost everybody uses the same plate of policies, those updates are easy to do. And Kathy Boyd is the primary attorney responsible, but not the only attorney responsible at the School Board Association. Janine works on them. There are like 4 or 5 attorneys who work on them. And it's just very difficult to keep up with it. Now, they can be read with a critical eye. There are times when they are way more detailed than this particular board or any board might want. There are times when they call for more layers of administration than you have or need. So there's no reason to read them without a critical eye. You don't have to do everything they say. They make suggestions, and then you make your own adaptations to those policies. But the basis and there are some provisions that are just need to be there, and then there are some provisions you can say, well, we don't really need a second committee to approve materials. We already have one committee, that's plenty. You know, so you can read their policies with a critical eye. But the fact that they keep everything legally consistent and current on their palette of policies, and as long as you stay within their framework in general, you should have current and acceptable policies.
Ms. Nichols, do we have licensed after-school programs?
At Central Davie and all the elementary schools, we have what's called wraparound care. So yes, that's a part of our license.
Okay, so they will also have to, those employees will have to be fingerprinted as well, right?
Which are the same employees that are there during the day.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Potts, I think Peggy helped me, but I believe it's around 36 to 40 people, staff, that we have decided that needed to be fingerprinted or to go through this process.
Thank you. Next, I ask for a motion to go into closed session. Before I do that, any closing comments? I will say thank you to staff for another successful year. They're going by faster and faster as my kids get older, and I've got one graduating this year, and so personally, thank you for what a lot of people had to do with getting her and many others through. I was joking. I said, I didn't think you'd make it. And she laughed for a second, and then she said, I didn't think I would either. So, anyway, thank you from a lot of parents. So, with that, I'll call for a motion to go into closed session and to preserve the attorney-client privilege pursuant to the North Carolina General Statutes listed on our agenda, to discuss personnel matters protected by state law, and to discuss student matters made confidential by general statutes and FERPA. I have a motion by Ms. Horn, I have a second by Ms. Smith. All in favor? Motion carries 6-0. We are in closed session. Thank you. I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the Davie County School Board of May the 7th. First item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda. I have a motion by Mr. Drexler. I have a second by Mr. Carroll. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. I appreciate that. Next, I need a motion to go into closed session to preserve attorney-client privilege pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes, to discuss personnel matters protected by state law, and to discuss student matters made confidential by North Carolina General Statutes and FERPA. I have a motion by Colonel Hills. I have a second by Ms. Smith. All in favor? We're now in closed session.